I'm so excited for this next conversation. She is a singer, songwriter, a mother, a civil servant, and the oldest career park ranger in America. And she's here with a brand new memoir, Sign My Name to Freedom. Please welcome probably the wisest woman I'll ever meet. Is Betty Reid Soskin. Welcome, Betty.
You are amazing.
You have witnessed so many amazing things that this country has experienced over the past 96 years.
Yes.
You've included those observations and insights and experiences in this book. What's inside the book? What do you cover?
Well, you know, I had lived 8 decades before I became a park ranger at 85.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's a lot of life that covers the introduction that you gave me. Being a daughter, and then a mother, and then all those other things.
Sure.
So that I think that now I'm using all those things that I have ever learned in the position that I now have.
Sure.
And that's a privilege.
Sure.
Wow, what a life.
Yeah.
What a life you have had. You write in the book a lot about your great-grandmother, Leontine Breaux Allen, who was born into slavery.
Born into slavery in 1846 in St. James Parish, Louisiana. And she was enslaved until she was 19, freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. And has been alive in my life because she died in 1948 at 102.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness, you have good genes.
Which means that I was 27 years old, married and a mother, by the time my slave ancestor died. I knew her as an adult, and I still carry her picture around in my pocket.
How did she inspire your life?
I didn't discover how she had done that until I was in Washington, about 1995. I was chosen as one of the 10 outstanding women in the nation by the Women's History Project. And that's a very hard thing to feel worthy of. And it was while waiting for that evening at the Hay Hotel for that presentation that I had a chance to go out to Anacostia, where there was a display, an exhibit of the midwives who had been in slavery. And I knew that my great-grandmother had been a midwife, that she had delivered the babies in the village. And I was able to come to terms with that award when I accepted it in her name. Because I realized that she would never have lived to have had that kind of recognition, but that she had contributed greatly.
What an amazing woman. And I mean, you're an amazing woman. I mean, just to sit and listen to you speak about
I think I'm a rather extraordinary, ordinary person.
No, there's nothing ordinary about you or your great-grandmother. It sounds like you come from a long line of really strong women.
Yeah,
I know.
true.
I want to read this so I make sure I get this right. So you're part of a committee that formed the Honor the Women Homefront Workers from World War II.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Rosie the Riveter's state.
I actually came into the parks as a field representative. The park was created in Richmond, California at a time when I was working for a member of the California State Assembly, Dion Arner. And that park had risen in my assembly district. I became interested because I realized that the city of Richmond had been chosen as the very best place in the country to interpret the home front story and Rosie the Riveter, because though there were defense plants that had grown up around the country, it was only in Richmond that there was still enough still-standing structures through which to interpret that history. But when I went to the first PowerPoint presentation as a field representative and saw the scattered sites that were going to become this park, I realized that all of the sites that would have told my story had been torn down. No. And that the story that the park was going to be telling was a true story. And the women were obviously, worthy of the homage, as were the home front workers. There were 37,600 casualties on the home front alone. Deaths that were never memorialized.
Oh my goodness.
So that the history as it was lived by those of us who lived it was so much more powerful than the myths that we were making up about it. So I knew that the story that was being told was true, but that it was not inclusive. and it was not complete. And so I became a part of the planning there to be sure that those untold stories would be incorporated. And that's what I've done.
Wow. So, well, I'd like to give you a round of applause for that. Because, again, that's no small feat. I mean, you keep one-upping yourself as the years go on. So here we are, almost 100 years later, and listening to your amazing history. You went from record store owner to performer to your years of government service to then helping build the park that you actually have now become the oldest park ranger for our National Park Services. What goes through your mind when you put on that uniform every day and you go to that park?
That's a remarkable experience to have, because having been through not only the history of the parks, but having been through the civil rights revolution of the 60s, I have lived long enough to have a sense of living in the future that I was helping to develop. And that's also true for me about the park. That is such, to have arrived at 96 with my mental capacity still intact.
Sure.
You know, that is so powerful.
And to see it come to fruition, because so many people put these plans in action, and unfortunately it takes so long, they never get to see the good that they created.
I get to share that history with a generation that has lost it completely.
And you have no plans on slowing down, do you?
Right.
No, I'm going straight from park to the cemetery.
You know what? I'm sorry, but I think you have a few more things in between that.
You have a lot more there.
You got a lot more life to live.
Is there anything else that's really on your radar that you still feel very strongly about that you would like to see change?
I don't think, well, I've lived long enough now to have lost my sense of future. But what's happened is that my sense of past has deepened.
Sure.
And now I can look back and I can see that we have been in these periods of chaos ever since 1776, and that we're in another one of those now. But that's the time when the democracy is being redefined.
Sure.
That's a time when we can get in and work hard and make it what it's promised to be. And being able to be a part of that, be able to influence a generation that's going to be responsible for that, because every single generation is to recreate democracy in its time, or it will die.
Wow. There's nothing ordinary about you, Betty. You are phenomenal.
As I said earlier, one of the wisest people I've ever met. and I thank you so much. What a wonderful conversation.
Thanks
to sit and chat. Wonderful,
Thank
fantastic.
you for being here.
Sign My Name to Freedom is the book. It's in bookstores now, and a documentary about Betty's life is coming soon. Keep your eye out for that. If you'd like more information, you can look into signmyname2freedom.com.
You're phenomenal.
Thank you.
Betty, thank you so much.
Thank you
Maria,
very much.
you're up next.
Yes, well, Betty, you know, looking at those pictures, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I'm going to show you how to create some beautiful pictures for this Valentine's Day to celebrate your kids.